Calling this meeting to order. Pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A1, any persons being discussed or affected were given advance notice of the executive meeting in writing and advised that they may require such discussion be held at an open meeting, and no request has been made. Do I have a motion to convene into executive session at this time?
I'll make a motion to convene.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And may I have a vote from everyone, if we can convene then?
Oh, aye. Yeah.
Right.
Aye.
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 Thanks. Calling the meeting to order. Moving into open session. And we will now do the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence. Thanks.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No votes were taken in executive session. I'll entertain a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session pursuant to applicable provisions of Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-4 and 5. Is
I'll make a motion to seal the minutes.
there a second?
I'll second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Next item, please.
Next item is student liaisons, beginning with Gayatri Bhutta from East Providence High School.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day. We've got lots going on at East Providence High School. I'll start with our festivities for celebrating today. We had a lot of our student organizations fundraising and celebrating, selling gifts, treats, and flowers at our lunches today at the booths. Also, we have joined both middle schools in participating in the annual Super Bowl to collect cans of soup to donate to the hungry. February is Black History Month, and high school students have honored that on the morning announcements every day with a tribute to a notable Black historical figure. Recently, we've had a lot of success for our students in clubs and competitions. For example, the culinary students just placed first in the Rhode Island Restaurant Management Competition. They're advancing to nationals, which will take place in Washington, D.C. Our DECA Club had their state state competition on Friday, and they took home first in the business finance category, as well as placing highly in various other categories. And multiple students from that club will move on to nationals, which for DECA will take place in Florida. We had our Poetry Out Loud competition for the high school last Thursday. Sophomore Nazare Phillips won first place at that, and he will move on to the state level competition. Our fashion department just opened a tailoring and alterations service. This is run by Ms. Vosho, the fashion teacher, and as well as her students. And this will help give them some real world experience and raise some funds for the fashion program. In academic news, second quarter has come to a close, and report cards are now available to families via Skyward. The ASVAB test was held last week at the high school. It's for students who are interested in joining the military. And next week, students, faculty, and staff have a well-deserved February vacation. In some Townie sports highlights, 2 Townie junior varsity wrestlers took home gold last weekend at the state championships. And the girls' indoor track team just broke the school record for the 4x200 meter relay. They're going to the state championships next Saturday. That's all I have for the high school, but today we have 2 new student liaisons joining us from the middle school, so I'll leave the floor to them. Thank you.
Call up the next person, please.
Next is Joshua Shanti from Martin Middle School.
Good evening, members of the school committee, Dr. Fornd, Dr. Bowler, and Mrs. Corsi. My name is Joshua Shanti. I'm an 8th grader at Martin Middle School and the president of the MS chapter of National Junior Honor Society. So I'm very excited to be here tonight as Lyson from MMS and to share with you some of the current highlights from our middle school. Starting off, our winter athletics program wrapped up last weekend. Both boys and girls basketball teams had strong seasons and participated in playoffs. Our wrestling team participated in both junior varsity and varsity state meets, and we're so proud of all the student athletes for making Marne proud. Also, members of our robotics team were invited to the state competition right here at East Providence High School on January 28th. We're proud that the Cosmic Cove team represented Martin so well at this state level competition. Moving onwards, the Marne chapter of National Junior Honor Society, made up of 23 8th graders, are actively involved in a variety of activities throughout the school, most recently assisting and helping to coordinate our second annual Super Bowl and selling Valentines, which we called Lolly Loves, that were delivered to students and staff today. We're also so impressed with our student council, with their continuous desire to help agencies within our community. This past Friday, we ended our pet drive, where we collected items to donate to a local pet shelter here in our East Providence community. At Marne Middle School, we pride ourselves in including student voice. Students serve on the school improvement team, the school culture team, and daily morning announcements. All students are encouraged to bring feedback to the administration. At Marne, we take immense pride in allowing students to help make a change throughout our school and our community. With that being said, these were our current updates, and there are many more that are soon to come.
And welcome.
Next is Janelle Albert from Riverside Middle School.
Good evening, school committee members. Dr. Ferran, Dr. Bowler, and Ms. Corsi. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Janelle Albert, and I am the president of the National Junior Honor Society at Riverside Middle School. Coming into the third quarter and looking back, these are some key events that stood out to me. In the beginning of the year, there was a rise of unified sports, such as unified basketball and unified cross country, which gave students the opportunity to come together and work with each other as a community. On the athletic note, our school has started a volleyball club in between the fall and winter sports season. Also, our basketball teams have done amazing all season long, so did our cross country and soccer teams. We also hosted the Armed Service Veterans in November. Then in that same month, we started a kindness crew led by our awesome guidance counselors, which shared kind messages around the school. Then in December, I was selected to be a part of the school improvement team that works to better our school. Right before winter break, students participated in donating items as presents to the elderly in Waterview Villa nursing home. And like me, someone as far as to handing those presents in person, which is an even more touching experience. Another club that has been stepping up is our school's National Junior Honor Society. They have ran a fall cleanup, which brought together our school community and held a Toys for Tots fundraiser. Currently, we're doing a Valentine's fundraiser for the American Heart Association. We partner with Skylar's Bakery in Riverside, and cookie grants were distributed to students in homeroom this morning. Finally, Riverside and Marne Middle School teamed up to fight hunger by collecting canned food to donate to homeless shelters nearby. Together, we collected over 4,800 cans for our second annual Super Bowl. In addition, Student Council has planned many of our dances and spirit weeks. They've also had candy grant fundraisers so students could support each other while raising money. In the arts, our band and chorus has had amazing first performances with many more to come. That is all the current events at Riverside Middle School. Thank you for having me. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you very much, and welcome.
Next is the consent agenda with communications, homeschool requests, and approval of minutes for the January 10th, 2023 executive session school committee meeting and open session school committee meeting, and the January 9th, 2023 building committee meeting. And personnel, consider and vote on superintendent's recommendation to terminate the employment relationship with a certified teacher.
Thank you. I'll entertain a vote to approve the consent agenda with all items listed.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Thank you. All that say aye.
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 Chair, can I ask a question? Regarding the food service agreement. Am I correct to say that? That's in our
Talk about the contract?
Yeah, that's under,
Oh, that's not under this.
okay, then
Yep.
all set, move
Yep.
it on. Just making sure, because
Oh, no, that would have been a whole other.
I don't see it
That would have been
under-
for discussion.
a vote.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's informational.
So we can talk about it then? Correct?
Don't have it on the agenda for tonight, no. I had requested that for review.
Okay, then
My plan was to add it for the following month.
okay, well, I don't consent to that. Yeah, I know it is. I have questions regarding it. I know it's approved because it doesn't, but I do have many questions
For
about it.
discussion, yeah.
So, how does one vote on that? Doesn't matter what I think.
This was
Oh,
just
this-
informational.
Yeah,
It's a signed
okay.
contract.
This is,
Okay.
yeah, this
It
is
could be a
under the
discussion
consent
next
agenda.
time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Next item, please.
Next item is public comments.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to wait to be called, but I signed up.
They voted. They did.
Do you want me to wait?
Apologies, thank you.
It's okay. No problem. I noticed that there was only one public comment today and not two. Is it now
Yes.
consolidated?
So, yeah, we consolidated in order to avoid having parents or members of the community have to wait till the end of the night for agenda or non-agenda items. So that way, we always like to give the opportunity to, people in the community to be able to voice any comments toward the beginning, so that way everyone's time is being considered. And I know it's hopefully encouraging people to come in to be more involved with our school. So that was the reason for that
Just
change.
wanted to
So,
just
yes.
check to make sure it was okay
Yep,
to talk.
you're all good.
Okay. My comment today is in regards to the iReady scores that were just released. I'm assuming, since I received one home today, that they have been disseminated to all the parents possibly. So my concern was, I'm not sure if there was a parent letter that described everything in there, but I would like to have our district take it to the next step if possible, because I don't think our parents completely understand what the scores mean. I know I didn't for many years, and I'd like to see as a workshop possibly for our parents to be able to see, although there, some children, hopefully a lot of our children are in that average range, but there are some children who are not in that average range and might need some extra support, and parents might not know what those numbers mean and how to help them. We haven't had any public workshops in the past that I know of to educate our parents on what those subcategories are to make that average range up for their children. So I want to find a way that we can help support our students at home, and that would be by educating our parents in regards to the iReady scores. Sometimes students are referred to RTI or PLPs, and I feel that parents might not understand what those are as well. So I'd like to have something available for our parents as a workshop, possibly grade level, to explain to our parents what that means. I know at EPLAC we help a lot of parents with special needs, but this is more on the regular ed side, and I think that we need to educate our parents a little more on that. I think it's extremely important. As you all know, I am a very pro-advocate on literacy, so I feel that with the national average, and I'm not exactly sure what our average is, but it's taken a dip in our country due to all the things that we've had with COVID, so I think it is best for our students and our parents that we step up and kind of have some sort of support for them. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Farron, do you think you can follow up with us in regards to that? Try and keep us in the loop with that.
I know we're not supposed to, during public comment, but I just want you to know that I have spoken to Dr. Fran about this. The iReady scores going out was an initiative that I tried to get out a while ago, and Lindsay, thank you so much for getting that going. I know other schools have been doing it, and now it looks like all the schools are doing it. I myself got the paper home and thought the same thing you did, and to have the score in front of me and then to see the academics, to me, I think we need to have some kind of discussion, whether parents choose to not come, but I think we do need to offer some kind of explanation, whether it's per school or per grade level or a group of grade levels. But mine in particular is like this. So I think we need to be able to understand, and I think the more you understand, the better you can help at home, just like she said. So I'm in the same boat, and I think it's important, but I want you to know that has been a follow-up already, so. I have to speak.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is PTO, PTA, EPLAC reports.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jessica. I'm the president of RMS PTA SA. I just want to let you guys know, and the people at home, RMS is going on an 8th grade field trip this year to Washington, D.C. And we had a big fundraiser about a month ago at a local restaurant. And we raised $2,350. That money is going to be coming off the top for students. So whatever was asked to pay, we're going to be taking off. We have a goal. So right now we are doing every Saturday. Broadway Lounge has been wonderful enough to donate to us the proceeds of the raffle. It's been going on for a couple months, since November. We're doing fantastic. So our goal is to take $100 off the top of every student. So we're not there yet, because that would be $7,200. So if you can go, buy some raffle tickets, chances of winning some meat or a TV or cash. My daughter went and won $25. So I just want you guys to know that we are doing that, and it's a big deal, and this will help those students go on their trip. So thank you. We have a license.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted everyone to know that we are having an EPLAC meeting tomorrow night. It's off schedule because of the vacation coming up, so we do it earlier in February. It's at Martin Middle School Library. We are doing a workshop on and experience the timelines of school transitions, beginning with pre-K to kindergarten. We all know that change is hard for all of us, so transition time for students can often seem impossible. Let us break it down for you so you can break it down for them. Parents of students of all ages, welcome to attend. Come gain an understanding of the timelines and establish to ensure things are consistent and connected. The other thing we are working on now, I believe I emailed this to everybody, it's our 15th year for the Special Needs Recognition Program that will be sometime in May. We're working on a date for that. These all went into the email boxes of everyone, so spread the word. We'd really like to see, we have some great students also. And last year I did notice that there was a dip in how many, we didn't have as many student nominations. And there's some great partners, best buddies. We have great teachers, educators, and paraprofessionals. So I just wanted to mention that. And I would now like to introduce my son, Benjamin Nascimento. He has something he'd like to just say to everyone. Okay.
Yes. My name is Benjamin Nascimento. Talked to you about the 2023 Special Olympics plunge. My name is Benjamin Nascimento. I am in 11th grader at East Providence High School. Please join the 2023 High School Special Olympics Unified plunge team on March 25th at Roger Williams State Beach. Help us raise money for special unified sports. I love playing unified basketball and in volleyball with my friends and my coaches at great coaches, Coach Cootie and Coach Dana, and the staff, Miss Beth, Miss Steph, and Miss Nyanga. I hope I see the plunge. You join the plunge 6 hours.
You get 6 hours of community service.
Community service. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Next item, please.
Next item is the superintendent's report by Dr. Ferrand.
Okay, I'd like to start with the facilities report. So last week, severe weather negatively impacted 4 of our schools. We had burst pipes in 3 of our schools, Waddington, White Neck, and Martin Middle School. They have, for the most part, they have been repaired. We are still working on some of the heating issues at Waddington and White Neck, but we are close to being fully repaired. Unfortunately, our systems are old, and when parts go, we have to have them rebuilt because they're not available. So that has been an issue and has slowed us down in the repairs. We had a 4th school, Kent Heights, that had minor roof damage with shingles blowing off. That roof is under warranty, so that's being repaired too. We have a project, as you may have seen, to install netting outside of the soccer field in front of the high school, located near the CTC. That work began this week. Supplies and equipment have been delivered, and I saw them breaking ground this morning. So that is being worked on right now to keep the balls from going over the fence and into the retainage pond there. The roof on the administration building, you may have seen roofers up there. That is being worked on. It's well underway, and we've been lucky that the weather has been warm, and they've been up there working above our heads every day. So that has been a little bit of an adventure. But so far, so good on the progress there. The RMS window project, we had rebid that project as we spoke about last meeting. We had 5 bids come in this time. They were opened, and right now we're looking at those packages to make a decision. So that will be forwarded to the committee for approval probably at the next meeting. The district has contracted to purchase 8 new AEDs, automated external defibrillators. We're all familiar with what happened in the NFL. Alex Butler, our new AD, came to us and was very concerned with making sure we had coverage on all of the outdoor fields and on middle school teams traveling. So they have, Chris Murphy and Alex met with the representative. We'll be using 5 in the newly opened athletic fields in the tennis court complex, and then the others will, as I said, travel to away games with the middle school. So we feel we have really good coverage for all of our teams with those new 8 defibrillators. And finally, the contract for removal of the smokestacks and repair of the brick at Silver Spring and Hennessy has been awarded and is scheduled to start as soon as school is out for the summer. So there will be a lot of work going on going into the summer. Finance update, I'm going to ask Craig to come forward to speak to you. So I can say we've pretty much closed out the 2022 fiscal year, and we have a surplus of approximately $300,000 to $350,000. Still a couple more things that could swing it either way, but we will end the year with a small surplus. So that is good news, and that is cutting it close.
Can we not say surplus? Can we just say money that we have yet to spend?
So that, yeah, that will be spent. It'll go into the capital campaign.
We were told we couldn't spend, but we wanted to spend.
In an almost $90 million budget, that is a very small amount of money.
People don't understand that when they hear the word surplus. They think, oh, no, it's money that we didn't spend because
we didn't want to
told
go over
not to
budget.
because
We used our resources very well.
We did. We did. So Craig's going to speak to you a little bit about the Facilities Equity Initiative and about the budget for next year, or what's currently being proposed for state aid.
Sure. So a couple weeks ago, we were notified, as all the other school departments were, about what the governor's proposed aid was going to be for next year. This is always the first step. The General Assembly is the one that will come up with a final appropriation for what that aid is, but the first shot out from the governor's office has us losing approximately $600,000. When I called RIDE to get more specific information as to what some of the determining factors were for that. So one was they were looking at the enrollment data from March of 2022, which is what they always do. They use the March data. At that point, we were considered down. Our enrollment was down. We were down to 4949. However, what they will be doing, as they always do, they do a revisit to the number to see what our October 1st enrollment from 2022 was. So once they do that, they look at that and they're going to say, East Providence has an increase of about 100 students. So that's good. I think in the end that's going to help us a little bit to take off some of that cut. The other factors that were taken into consideration was in years past, they have always looked at the free and reduced lunch applications and the what we call the direct cert, but it's the families who receive categorical eligibility from the state. So if you receive categorical eligibility from the state, and we also had groups of families who qualified for free and reduced lunch, well, that has also dropped. So the numbers of families who qualified for the categorical eligibility within the last year dropped. We have gone up since then, but for their data purposes, it has dropped. Property values, according to the E-Wave system, property values here in the city have increased, and the median income for families has increased as well, which is good for the families, but not good for the funding pieces. So for right now, again, we are in a holding pattern until the Senate and the General Assembly leaders do their job. But at least we know, we're probably looking at some type of a decrease for next year. I think that what we've received will probably be the worst case, but we don't know that yet. Okay. And also in terms of you see on your agenda items, you have a couple of pieces of information that we're going to be asking the committee to sign tonight. One of those is the Facility Equity Initiative. We had applied for, about 14 different projects, and we were awarded almost $4 million worth of projects for the work at Riverside. For the middle school. Some of the projects that we were awarded was to convert the library into more of a media center, to upgrade all of the science classes, receive 48.5% reimbursement for that work. But it's all money that we have to upfront. So the approximately $4 million, we're going to have to look at the budget to see if we can truly afford to do all three projects, because we're going to have to upfront that money, and then we will get reimbursed. So we're just going to have to take a closer look, which Michael and I have started, to take a look at what the cash flow is, and for us to do that. The state is incentivizing all of us that if we increase our MWBE, so the Minority and Women Business enterprise. If we can increase that to 15%, we'll get an extra 10% back. So we will certainly aim for that. We worked very hard here for the high school. What we had to achieve was 10%. We achieved 14.4% out of 189.5 million. So that was really great. What else, Sandy? Is that it? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next up is kindergarten registration. So we don't do kindergarten registration like we did in the past. It's not just, we used to schedule a week of kindergarten registration. So registration is ongoing. It's open now. We actually have registered about 200 kindergarten students so far. The sooner the better if you have a child that you'll be registering for kindergarten. There are flyers that have been put out, so you can call the registration office. Maria Rodriguez can help you. It's 270-8276, or the office is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 3 for kindergarten registration. And the children must be age 5 on or before September 1st in order to register.
Sorry, I just want to go back one item.
Oh.
Sorry. For the finance and budget update, I don't know if I missed what Mr. Enos had said, but do we have an idea of when we will be getting more concrete numbers from the state then? I know it still has to be approved by the General Assembly, but like until then, like how much time do you think we have
March 1st, they take the new
about?
enrollment count. July 1st, March
July
1st, they're doing the new
So we'll
enrollment,
know,
right?
so, yeah, because all of the other, unlike us that has an off fiscal year, all of the other cities and towns working on what their budgets are going to look like now. So really by the end of June, we will know.
Okay.
So, all right.
So on that note, is that why the lunch thing came about again? We still can enroll for the free and reduced lunch.
Absolutely.
Okay, so-
We, in fact, we were, when I spoke with the Department of Education, they had said they weren't sure. So what the governor did was he just looked at what the direct cert categorical eligibility was. She didn't think that was going to stick, and she thought it could be the case where they are going to go back. And so if that was the case, she was encouraging all the districts who had called that we should still enroll parents, which is why there was a Skylert blast that went out to families. So absolutely, anyone watching, www.myschoolapps.com, takes less than 5 minutes, and we can do that for you.
So that's a huge relief then, that's still.
I'm sorry, what?
That's a huge relief then, the fact that it hasn't been completely discarded, because that's, I know, a lot easier to get parents to sign up for free and reduced lunch than it is to get any other like federal assistance, right? Because that's what they were looking at initially, to only consider for a city's need.
Correct.
For aid.
Yeah. And we had, was at a meeting on Friday, and the state is looking, so many of the school departments are struggling in trying to ways to help families. There are people that are, maybe receive some type of state service, but are right on the edge that they don't qualify for categorical, but they're not applying for the benefits that they could through the school department. DHS and RIDE are working together to come up with a sort of a common app that will help to streamline services for families. And then what they're hoping to do is taking that application and then putting it into the system that some of the school departments have. I volunteered us to be a test pilot. They're going to be hopefully doing that as a test pilot in April. But it's just trying to look at ways that we can help families quicker and faster. So, and to get the meal benefits to families who really need it the most.
Thank you. So, if I may, just one other question for the committee. are we thinking, past years we've done like 1 workshop or 2 workshops. I wanted to see what everyone else's thoughts were, potentially increasing that up to, 3, considering that there will likely be some sort of change coming from RIDE, and I know we have a new member as well, so it'd be nice to all of us get on the same page and not be so constricted to, 1 meeting. And of course, like our attention, I think, will be a lot sharper if we, are able to spread our meetings out to at least like 3 budget workshops instead of what we did like last year. I think it was just 1. Or 2, yeah. There was 1 main one though, I think it was, and then the second one wasn't as in depth. But that's what I wanted to propose to you guys, to kind of like start thinking about, what you want that budget process to kind of look like this time around. And what, of course, our superintendent is there and our finance director, Mr. Enos, is there to, go through that whole process with us. But I at least wanted to give you guys like that heads up that, we can start thinking about that for this upcoming spring and summer.
So one of the budget workshops, and this is just my opinion, I've been trying to get it, and it did work out last year at least once. The workshop's a workshop. We're not sitting on display here. The workshop's a workshop. We have room to sit and work with paperwork, with pencils, and I can talk to a colleague if I need to. I have finance right here. We need to do a workshop where we're working. We've been trying to do this for, 8+ years, but I mean, that's how you get stuff done. That's how you work on numbers and look at numbers. If this is our job, then this is what we need to do. We need to sit here and work and sit across from one another and get it done, in my opinion, and have its own meeting, and that's what we do. So I know we did it once last year like that. I found it beneficial. The questions can be asked, that they're answered right there.
I agree with that. I did find our meeting a lot more, it being more of a conversation and a discussion, I think. And I think that way we also are able to participate a lot more in that type of format. So I think, was it a conference room? And we also sat around a table in the cafeteria. So like that, I think in those type of formats, it's a lot easier kind of to also pose questions and go from there as well. So I agree with your points. Not sure if anyone has any other comments or questions or things.
Yeah, I agree that it was a very engaging and a productive format, and I'm fully in favor of continuing to do it that way, and also having as many meetings as we need to have.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent.
Next item is East Providence High School registration and scheduling. So I am happy to report that seniors have already picked their classes for next year, and they're currently, the guidance counselors are working through the juniors and the sophomores. They anticipate being able to take the first run at the schedule in March, which is probably a couple of months ahead of what we did last year. So I think we'll be in much better shape with scheduling this year, and hopefully be able to straighten out a lot of the conflicts that we had before students get to school. So they're really working through that right now, so that's good news.
Can I just clarify? I do have a question for number 3, but since we're on number 4, students who enroll at the Career and Tech Education program within East Providence High School, I know it's first come, first serve, like as in programs, but it's East Providence resident students that are first, correct?
So it's not first come, first serve. There is an application process.
Well, I meant yes.
So yes, so there's an application process. Mr. Hanlon has changed up the application process. There's an essay. There's other requirements to that application process. So we have accepted out-of-district students. We try to accommodate as many students as we can in all the programs and fill all the programs. A student may not get their first choice. We've had in-district students that haven't filled out the application, haven't done the essay, and that would exclude them from the process.
So if you do the essay, you fill out the application and you're an East Providence resident, you would get that over a Pawtucket, filled out the application, filled out the essay, or is it based on whose essay was better, whose application was better?
So we have taken a percentage of students from out of district.
So an East Providence resident could lose their spot to an outside resident if the program closes.
If the program is
So like,
fully enrolled.
I don't know an example of a smaller program, but I'm gonna use, I don't know, culinary, because
Yep.
they're fabulous. If that program closes, is there a chance that some students aren't gonna get into it, but out-of-state students are?
That has happened last year.
Okay,
So I
I
think
would-
that needs to be a discussion
It
with the
definitely
committee.
needs to be a discussion.
You know, we are the regional center for Barrington and Bristol Warren.
Correct.
You know, so we have prioritized taking some of those students also. I can ask Mr. Hanlon to speak more about the application process. I am not involved in the selection of students. But if the committee wants the priority to be that all East Providence students are accepted before we take any out-of-district students, that's something that can be discussed. It does have a financial impact on the district also. So I'm just,
I
we have
totally understand,
reserved
but
a small amount
I
of
believe Jenny and I
seats.
had this conversation where now I'm on a totally different page.
Yeah, I was, my understanding was that we prioritized East Providence members, and then and if, there's, spaces available at that point in that program, then those spaces open up to the people in the East Bay area, and then from that point, if there's still spaces available, then it expands to the rest of the state. So that was my understanding of it, but I'm.
So
So I
Okay.
can't speak to
Nope,
that.
so
I don't
let's-
want to speak to that
That's what
with,
I may be also thinking about that, that conference we went to, though. I thought that was recently that we got
Okay,
that.
I just like it as a discussion item, go through the process. I'd like to know, I understand the financial impact that we have, but I also know that we're East Providence taxpayers.
I agree with that, and again, there was an application process, and, we prioritize our students, but I can't say for sure that they were not East Providence students that didn't get into the program. We have, I believe, close to 45 freshmen, I believe, that were accepted into programs, and all of our programs were full at the beginning of the year. And we had 400 applicants. So I think Mr. Hanlon can speak to that better than I can. I was not prepared to discuss the
No,
CTC tonight,
no,
so
I know, and
I
I'm
don't
only
wanna,
asking
I
if-
don't wanna give
Yeah.
misinformation.
No, that's all right. I'll put it on for our next meeting.
Okay.
And I only did that because of registration and scheduling were on it, and I assume CTC is part of registration and scheduling, so I felt like that was a good time to discuss that.
Yeah, I can't answer that question, and I just don't want to give misinformation, and then someone says that wasn't correct information. So I would
Fair.
rather defer to Mr. Hanlon and how the process is done. I was not a part of the selection of students last year. And again, the committee can weigh in on how they want the process as far as our priority. We do try to prioritize our own students.
I'm just looking for fair.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
however we
I'm
do
not-
that.
Yep.
Can I quickly go back to number 3? I just want to verify, when you register a kindergartner, I have not had one in a long time, is there paperwork, do you have to physically come and deliver something to an office?
I don't believe we do anymore.
Can we clarify that right now?
Yes, so if you reach out to Maria Rodriguez, she can give you the information and what you need. There's a list of documents that you need to, but I believe,
Can we find
Diana,
out?
they can email that, correct?
We've been emailing the packets out, and they've been sending it back, but it's a good idea if they come in.
Okay. So as a working mom, 9 to 3 is not kosher. I'm not good with that. So that's why I asked that question, because I work 5 days, 6 days a week from 9 to 3. So I just want to make sure that every kindergartner that we can get registered is registered. And I just want to see what we can do about that, if that's true. If you have to come in then I want to make sure that we have an available time somehow, some way, if I have to stand there myself on a Saturday or in the evening to collect something.
Potentially, I mean, this is just a thought, I know. I know it's not really on here, but for registration, I guess, in a way it is. Potentially, we can look into talking with the city, because they have hours. I don't know if, do we still have an office, and don't we have something in there?
No.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so if a parent has an issue, they can reach out to that office and we will make accommodations if that doesn't work. Because, I mean, it's an ongoing process all the way through to August. So, I mean, we could open up one night or a couple of nights, but it doesn't mean that somebody's going to come in and register their child that night. So, I mean, we'll work with families. We definitely will work with families if they want to reach out and if that is an issue for them.
Thank you.
Okay, so the other item that was requested was duties and responsibilities of SROs. So I did speak with the police department. So this is the job description that the police department gives their candidates. Yes. Sorry. So basically, when not engaged in school-related activities, they have normal responsibilities. They are responsible for investigating reports of criminal activity within East Providence secondary schools. They handle crisis intervention situations and serve as a conflict resolution mediator. They prepare and present classroom lectures on topics, interact with students in a non-traditional manner, and interact and communicate with school officials. So first and foremost, they are law enforcement officers in the schools, and they are there to ensure student and staff safety. You know, if you've ever interacted with any of our SROs, they're really also there to build relationships with students. And just watching them interact with students is pretty amazing. There's a lot of bonds there. So one of the things that I started to work on at the beginning of the year was an MOU for the SROs with the police department, outlining all of the responsibilities. I have pulled that out again, and had the secondary principals are providing feedback on it, and then I will work with the department so that we have an up-to-date MOU. We did not have anything in our files that specified, the relationship. I don't know if someone had specific questions on it. It was kind of just a general request.
Any questions or comments regarding that? Has there been a change in number of SROs in our district or no?
We have 2 at the high school, 1 at each middle school, and we actually have a community policing sergeant who actually has been amazing. We've worked with him. He's been in a lot of the schools, and right now we're short an SRO at the high school, so he's been coming in and helping here when he can. And then we have community policing officers that are on patrol that stop into the elementary schools and work to establish relationships. But we've had some turnover. We just did interviews, I think. Mr. Black sat on the panel a couple weeks ago for a new officer at the high school. So hopefully, after vacation, we'll have a new one. But the number of officers have not changed in the last couple of years. We've had 2 here.
Okay. Thank you.
So the last item that I have here is a special education program review. So one of my goals was at the beginning of the year was to get together a special education review. I did put in your packet a sample of what a review would look like. So Leslie Anderson has reached out to several companies that provide this type of service. So it would be a complete and total review of our special education program with someone from the outside that would be able to give us feedback on how to best service our students. So it would be things like interviews with staff, with families, surveys, roundtable discussions, school site visits, individual interviews, IEP reviews, online surveys, focus group interviews, document reviews, so they would look at all of our special education documents, and then do an analysis and present that information to us. So I think it would give us a really good idea of, you know, how we're servicing students, what programs are really working for us, and how to improve on those programs, and really how to maximize the support that we're providing for students. So you'll see later on the agenda that there's an RFP that we would like to send out. This is a pretty extensive process with, you know, and like I said, I just gave you a sample of what that could look like with one of the companies that we called to ask about it. But we're looking at probably a 22 to 26 week process from start to end.
So we would essentially be using this review as constructive feedback on ways to improve?
Exactly. Yep, we really want to know how we can maximize our program, our staff, you know, what we're doing well, and how to improve on the things that we're not. And I think we really need somebody independent to come and look and provide that feedback for us. And they can just get so much more data than we can, because they can facilitate those discussion groups and the online surveys and reach out to parents and staff and get an honest assessment from people. So I think it's really good for the district.
I also think this is a great starting point on where we are and how we can move forward from there. With their findings at the end of their, you know, their performance of having those conversations and those meetings with everyone from parents all the way up to you. Who would they be presenting those findings to at the end of it then, in addition to yourself?
So I would think it would be public. You know, our goal would be probably to hold a meeting to, you know, let everyone know what the results were and what the recommendations were, and then, you know, we would move forward with the recommendations from there.
Okay. It seems then we would definitely need a meeting just solely for this topic then, because that would definitely be, I think, extensive, especially for, you know, almost 26-week analysis of how our program is. So I would be okay with that. So we can really focus on that and dedicate our time to a subject that very much, I think, a lot of us up here have voiced before to have an interest in. So, yeah. Any other thoughts or comments?
Did we get the results from when, was it RIDE that was here that came around? Were those presented?
Last year, I think. Was that last year? Was that last year, Leslie? Yes.
Do they do, is that an every year thing? Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
So I know that this mentions getting parental input. Do you know like what specific ways? Like I know, for example, it says on here face-to-face interviews or offsite data collection. Like what are the particular ways that they plan on getting parental input?
Yeah, so this is just a sample of what one could look like. So we actually are putting the RFP out based on this sample to be all-encompassing of everything, and then we'll work with whoever's selected to figure all of those details out. So I don't really have any in-depth detail until we get the RFP. I don't know why this is doing this. Till we get the RFP back and have more information, then we start working with them.
All right, thank you.
Just to give you some samples or some examples, it could be a parent survey, it could be a focus group where parents are asked to come in. So those are the types of data gathering opportunities they would present in the proposal, like surveys, things that pretty much we've done in the district. It wouldn't be anything, I shouldn't say that, foreign, but surveys, focus groups would be some examples.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All righty. Next item, please.
Next item is the Director of Teaching and Learning report, Lindsay Riley.
Good evening. I have a brief presentation to give an update on our actions and next steps in regards to Rhode Island Right to Read Act. Next slide, please. So the Rhode Island Right to Read Act was originally passed in July of 2019. It was revised in July of 2020. It's a law that requires our educators to have professional learning that's categorized as either proficiency or awareness training in the science of reading. The revised legislation requires that our staff complete this training for the 25-26 school year. Next slide, please. It's a lot of talk about the Right to Read Act and the science of reading. So I just have some definitions here that help us think about. So the science of reading is not something brand new. The act is new to our state. But the science of reading is a vast body of research that's been conducted over the last 5 decades to help practitioners really understand what it means to teach children to read, both from a prevention standpoint and intervention. And the structured literacy is the approach that we take that is our bridge to practice, so how we take that vast body of research and embed it in our practices. Next slide, please. East Providence, since the start of the Act, has partnered with several providers. So Bridge RI is a Rhode Island-based organization, and that is how educators that are required awareness training, and I'll sort of unpack who that involves. Our awareness training has been done through Bridge RI. That's online, some self-paced modules. And the proficiency training, which is more in depth, we've partnered with the AIM Institute, Hill for Literacy, and Letters. Next slide, please. So awareness training is required of our special subject teachers, our secondary content area teachers, CTE teachers, and school nurse teachers. This was Q1 data, so at that time, 22% of teachers who fell in that category completed their awareness training. 67% were in progress. We know that some of those educators completed the training in January, and the rest of the 67% will be done at the end of this current school year. 11% have not yet started. That's approximately 19 educators. Proficiency training is required for our pre-K to 5th grade classroom teachers, pre-K to 12th grade special educators, and our MLL teachers. So currently, or this was Q1 data, we had 33% complete, 36% in progress, and 31% not yet started, which is approximately 61. So that legislation, again, requires for us to provide and support educators to achieve and complete those training courses for the 25-26 school year. So we're in the process of determining what providers we'll continue to partner with to train those remaining educators. Next slide, please. And my final slide is just a visual of our tiered supports that I think most are familiar with. So we look at this and saying, the science of reading training is really step one. It's that theoretical knowledge and really understanding what the research calls for. MTSS for us is the framework for improving student outcomes. So we look at MTSS to say those are our points of influence, and the work that we look to do as a district continuously is to align the needs of our students to the systems of support that we provide. So they're integrated systems looking again at both prevention and intervention, and looking at what we provide at each of those integrated tiers is really our utilization of time, materials and resources, how we utilize data, and how we have systems for grouping. So when as a new sort of central office team looking at the data that's in front of us, when you see your MTSS system and you find that your current core instruction is not meeting the need of the vast majority of your students, and we look at approximately 80%, and we know we're not there yet, it is a call to action and focus on Tier 1, which is why you've heard the superintendent say that since her, sort of date of hire, is to say, not that we're not looking at all tiers, we are, but our primary focus is really and has to be on providing a solid Tier 1. So one major step is some of the updates we've provided in terms of our ed reports process for selecting high quality curriculum, but we know that that's just one step. We are supporting educators in implementing the curricula and being able to look at strategies within the core to differentiate and meet the needs of all in Tier 1. So that is the end of my presentation for today, but we will continue to provide updates. This is an ongoing process in terms of the right to read training itself, and then of course, most importantly, that bridge to practice once we have that content knowledge.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is Policy Committee Report. Jessica Beauchesne.
We've been over these policies. Again, I haven't heard any feedback from anyone. I apologize. I missed last month. That was my first in 8 years. So I was pretty sick. Let me just go over the first policy. If you have any questions, this policy has to pass tonight. It's state law. So the General Assembly established it, and if you went to School Committee 101 or if our attorney did it, General Assembly established us, and they can take us away. So, along with the Department of Health. So, the Administration of Medical Marijuana Policy, this is for second read. Again, I haven't heard anything or had any comments. It is pretty self-explanatory, as much as it can be. My only concern is, and it doesn't really matter because it states it, but I do want people to understand I do have a concern because we sometimes do not have subs for nurses in our school buildings. We have gone without. And I don't mean a sub, I mean no nurse. So it does state that a parent then would have to come, or the parent's designee. It doesn't say an administrator. I'm not missing that anywhere. I just want to make sure if any of you guys saw, I didn't see it. And that was my only question. It says if a certified school nurse is not available, then a parent or parent's designee, which I guess could be an administrator? I don't know. I don't know how that works. So I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. I didn't read it as that.
No.
So it would be parents designee, or a legal guardian then has to administer the medical marijuana if a certified school nurse is not there. And we do have that happen sometimes, so I just want to bring that to your attention.
I will add, the protocol, I think, it's pretty clear. It's extensive. I think this was the only portion I think that the rest of the committee didn't have the last meeting, which is why we couldn't vote on it. But having this protocol, I think it's clear, even if you don't have a legal expertise, I think it's pretty clear, and I think that's good. If there's ever any question or doubt as to what protocol or procedures being followed, a parent or guardian can easily, confirm on their end, or just look up on their own if they are curious enough to take a look at it. Like Ms. Bouchane had mentioned, it's state law. We have to pass it. All school districts have to have a procedure in place and a policy in place, and that's what is before us tonight. So, are there any questions or comments regarding the medical marijuana policy? Alrighty.
Anti-hazing policy. So again, this has been in front of us a couple times. This is for second read, so this will be established after tonight if it passes. And it does say the superintendent is directed to establish protocols and procedures consistent with this policy.
Any questions or comments on this policy tonight?
So our plan is to get the policy committee back in full force after COVID. During COVID, it kind of went to Google, and then it kind of fell down, and we kind of just did some cleanup policies, but we have a handful of policies that we really need to get into and get opinions on from the staff. So that's our plan coming up over the next couple months. Not that everybody has a lot to do already, but we do have a handful of ones that need input before we establish them. These are just pretty much generalized ones that needed to be passed and need to be followed so that we have it. So that's all I got.
I'm in agreement with that. I think having the in-person meetings were a lot easier for us, I think, to really share all our thoughts on everything. And of course, we're not here during the day to see how things are implemented and how things affect, whether it's students, faculty. So having that piece in there while, school committee members are there discussing is a huge help to be able to kind of get things done a lot more efficiently for everyone. So, thank you. Any other questions or comments on the hazing policy? All right, thanks. Next item.
Next item is the building committee report with building project update.
I was looking at you because I was gonna go into it. So there is just a minor update regarding the new projects that are beginning. I attended the meeting last night. We will be having a joint meeting with the City Council next month. And there we will be having a presentation with AI3 and what the next steps are going to be for that project. They have already also been discussing generally what Martin Middle School will be looking like so they can get better approximations as to the costs of materials. Nothing has been solidified, nothing is finalized, but there have been, general schematics prepared already to kind of have a better idea of, how much things will cost depending on, again, with materials for that building itself. I think that's kind of generally what kind of happened I think of note. I stepped in for Ms. Bouchane for yesterday, but it is Ms. Bouchane who is on that building committee. I did not replace her. So I just want to make that clear. She is still on the building committee.
And I thank you. I was out of town for the Super Bowl. But I will let you, congratulations, Ben, again. I couldn't even have tried to get a synopsis of what happened because it's so overwhelming when you go to those meetings. So I did ask Ms. Azanera to go in my place. Not that we had already many people, I'm sure, there. So I know it's it's gonna be a rough couple months now, right? Yeah, okay.
Yes, I mean, I'll go into that a little bit.
Yeah,
I wasn't on the school committee when the project started for the high school. So I actually got like the middle point and end part, and now I'm getting to see the beginning part, and boy, does it require the hours. There's already been talks of, you know, how much time it takes to look at even one proposal. So again, props to everyone on the building committee, props to everyone that has decided to be on the second building committee.
I think that
your time is much appreciated, especially.
So I just want to say, building committee meetings are public. So Jenny went as a public person last night, you can go, and it's always the Monday before the school committee meeting if you want to plan that. It's open to the public, and you can sit there and listen to everything that the people are already listening to that are sitting at the table. I did it when I wasn't on the building committee. Because I know the next couple months are going to be, and we may have to ask for, I don't know if they mentioned that last night, another meeting, or try to fit in a meeting, or try to do something like that to help to help stuff move faster, because, you know, again, we want the money. So, on that note, that's all I have, so it's all you.
That was all I wanted to kind of fill in on, fill everyone on from last night. So these next couple of months, I think, these 6 months easily will be very much intensive. So I'm sure Ms. Bouchain will keep us up to date on all the big developments as they occur. Thanks. Next item, please.
Next item is discussion items, moving Martin Pre-K to Oldham School in September.
Okay, so I wanted to bring this to the committee for discussion. We will be breaking ground on Martin next spring. And we've been reflecting a lot about this. I have concerns, safety concerns, with having the pre-K on campus at Martin when we start to break ground. That first entrance to Martin, where the main office is, will be all construction traffic, and that's where the construction will be taking place, which means we're going to have to reroute middle school parent drop-off. So my concern is, like, once this construction starts, having both middle school students and pre-K students on campus, and trying to shift and move with all that traffic. The preschool playground is where drop-off and pickup could end up being for the middle school. It's a big safety concern for students, and the disruption is there. So what I'm proposing is that we move the pre-K starting in August to Oldham, and have all 8 state pre-K classes at Oldham, and our special education preschool there also. The other day, we walked the building with Principal Rebello. We mapped out classrooms. We looked at how we could accommodate all of our pre-K students throughout the district in that building. And we do feel as if we have the space that we need. We presented RIDE with a map and a plan so that they could give us feedback, and they felt as if the space would be adequate to house all of our students there. So they've approved of that temporary space. So this would avoid also having to put the preschool in temporary classes and portables, which I really am not in favor of, but that was the original proposal if we couldn't find space in the district. It is going to require some construction at Oldham, or as some people refer to it, Meadowcrest, where our preschool is now. We'll have to look at the library and making that space into 2, and then the multi-purpose room, dividing that space up a little bit, but I feel like that's minor compared to any of the other options that we have right now. So I've had preliminary conversations with the teachers unit about possibly staggering the start time of the classes, so looking at maybe 3 different staggered start times. One, to reduce the traffic congestion in the neighborhood, because as you know, there's one way in, one way out at Oldham, and it's a neighborhood. It's right smack in the middle of the neighborhood. So trying to reduce that traffic congestion by staggering the start time of the classes. It would also, the other concern is, as some people know, if you have to go from Rumford to Riverside, it does take a while, so hopefully an earlier start time would allow parents that are on the other side of the city to get their students, drop them off, and then still drop off their elementary students if they have it. So I feel like that we could accommodate that. I am meeting with the faculty of the pre-K, Oldham, and Martin Middle School tomorrow to have further discussions. I would like some of their input as to, staggered start times, like the spacing issues. So we do have something set up at their faculty meeting tomorrow to explore this further. We did talk to Melissa Reed, our Chartwell's food service, and she feels as if she can make the serving of the 8 classes work at Oldham. So, we're in the preliminary stages of exploring everything, but I would like to get the committee's approval for that move so that we can start to move forward and make some plans about the renovations that would need to take place and all of the other logistics that are going to be required. So it's probably a year earlier than we thought it would be, but I do think it's safest for students, and I do think it's in the best interest of students because I think the building will be more conducive to learning for them. It'll also give us swing space for the middle school. So once that construction starts, the main office area at Martin will have to close down. So my thoughts, and again, we're exploring all of these ideas, our thoughts were probably to move the main office to the other side of the building where preschool currently is. And then you do have the buzzer system, you do have some offices over there, so I feel like that might be another move that we could accommodate for the middle school and give us that space. We had preliminary conversations with AI3 about this and our OPM, and they thought that maybe even that could speed up construction a little bit if we had that flexibility with preschool not in the building at the time. So that's where we are right now. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
So our current on track, we anticipate that construction at Martin will begin next April?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's like, there'll be some site work over the summer,
Right.
But in full force, the projected date is next April, which would require rerouting of traffic and construction vehicles on site. So that right now is the projected date.
And when basically both of these pre-Ks combine at Oldham, do we plan on moving only some or certain like furniture that's at Martin Pre-K over, or are we just gonna utilize like what we have at Oldham? Because I know obviously everything wouldn't fit, but
Yeah, so we're gonna, and that's why I would like to start planning. We're gonna take Martin and move it to the Oldham classroom. So everything that they have now that's because they're gonna be there at least 2 years, maybe more, I'm not sure. But everything will go.
okay.
So we'll set up full classrooms. Like I said, we've mapped out the building and where we can accommodate everyone. We feel it, and we'll have a principal in one place. We'll have, so those are some advantages also. But again, I'm concerned about safety of all that construction traffic with having our preschool on site.
Okay. And the modifications the minor modifications for Oldham, when would we probably work on that?
Yeah, so probably the summer. That's one of the things I want to explore. I'm not a construction expert, although I've sat on a lot of building committee meetings, so I know more than I used to know, but I need input into that. Like, we would need to map out plans. Like, I'll talk to our OPM about that, and Chris Murphy, Alfred, Craig, Karen Rebello, and I all walked through the building just for space, and did some measuring in those areas, but that would have to be pretty quick towards the end of the year or the summer. It's going to be a fast turnaround to get them moved and open.
So for that reason, I think it's, I'm glad to hear the conversations however you started, and, gotten Ryan's input as well to see if that's if that's an option. I like that idea a lot more than what we were initially thinking of. Well, it was presented as an option. I know it wasn't, seen as the only option, but I think it was like cubes or something like pods.
Trailers, pods, yep.
So I think when it comes to, the safety and like making sure that there's the least amount of like, disruption in the middle of the school year, I think starting off, even if, the space is still available in Martin Middle School, having that start already at Oldham will, I think, give it, the faculty and everyone the opportunity to get settled in and not feel rushed to have all that, have that move in the middle of the school year. So I like that, and also that way we have that whole process all set up for parents too, so they are already in the swing of things and don't have to, again, readjust to, schedules and all that during the middle of the year. So I think that's a lot of considerations being taken into, all the parties that it will be affecting. So I think definitely looking forward to hearing, what else is able to, be considered from that. Any other questions or comments regarding this? All right. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next is action items. Consider and vote to approve bill list.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Well, let's say aye.
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 Nay? I didn't say nay, I was asking. All right. I'll entertain a vote to approve the RFP for the Riverside Middle School window replacement project.
We're gonna do it.
Yes.
I just wanna make sure, this
gonna
means
do
we're
it.
gonna do these windows.
Yes, we are.
Because we've been,
It's been like 2 years, I think.
it's roughly been as long as you've been sitting here,
Yeah, exactly.
and maybe prior.
Yeah. 'Cause it was
Just
gonna be
the windows at that school was brought up over 6 years ago. We were at the place, we went out for RFPs, we met with window companies. That was 6 years ago.
Historical Society, I think that was.
Yeah, the Historical Society stopped us for a while. I do know that.
We're
for-
ready to go.
And then we
You
couldn't
approved
get
the
anything,
RFP, we're
and we
ready to
couldn't
go.
that, so I. That's 3, pass.
Just a question with that, Sandy, because just you're right, back in the day, there was a question about, are we gonna leave the front entrance ways the same? Could we meet with these people, or did anybody discuss that, what we're doing for glass, because that was a big community outreach back then to see what we were gonna do to the front of them windows.
I know Mr. Perry did prior to him leaving, because he told me as his
I
school
know
building.
Mr.,
So I know that there was some issues that they couldn't move certain window. I don't know if that's still it, but I do know that there was some feet on the ground on that one.
I know Mr. Fiol also went into that during our school tours as well, so.
So the stumbling block that we had for a number of years was the Rhode Island Historic Preservation Commission. The windows will look very similar to what it is now. There'll be some, what do they call them, stanchions in between the windows, but it will have a very similar look to it. We were able to deal with the Rhode Island Historic Preservation Commission, so we cleared that hurdle.
Did we do any renderings, Craig, for the front of it, so the committee could see what it looks like, or?
Not yet, but we will be sure to share that with folks. Actually, we can provide what the initial drawings were, so I can share those, with you, that Studio J did.
Could you get us, send that to us?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And just to make sure I'm recalling correctly, this is purely exterior window work?
Every single exterior piece of glass.
It doesn't include any of the inside glass? The exterior windows. Only, okay. Yeah, everything. Okay.
All right, I have yep. Is there a second? Okay. Well, let's say aye.
Aye.
And,
Aye.
Jen, I have one more question, please. If they can just send, if the committee will, I would like a copy of the contract, the start date, the finish date, and all of what we're gonna do with that. So whoever's gonna, Craig, could you send that to whoever's interested in it, please?
You're going to have to approve the contract, so you're going to see it.
Yeah.
No,
So-
what I'm saying is, that's gonna, if somebody commits to that, then I'll approve this, but I just wanna make sure that we see the drawings, start dates, all of that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Brandel, did you second to confirm?
I'll second.
Okay. All that say aye?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll consider a vote to approve to award masonry repairs RFP. And this is for Hennessy, correct?
Hennessy and Silver Spring.
Yes. I make a motion.
I'll second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
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 I know we've also been waiting for Hennessy for, I think it's a year and a half.
Yeah, almost like since we first got here.
Right.
Just one question, just to make sure I'm recalling right. You said July is when the work will begin at both of these buildings?
On this?
Yes.
I think we said summer.
Summer?
We're seeking to start the Silver Spring project first, as soon as school is out.
Yeah.
Okay. And,
June 21st.
all right, and is construction still going to be happening while school is back in session, or is this only when?
It's scheduled to be completed before the school year starts.
Oh, both schools would be scheduled to be completed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I'll consider a vote to approve the contract for AI3 Architects.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
So I'd just like to add that was done, the building committee approved that last night. I like to just say that. I mean, yeah, okay. I think it's important sometimes because they go through it intensely. I mean, really intensely. So I think it's important that anything that comes in front of us, we just are not paper pushers. It's been discussed in length.
Did I have a second?
I did, Jen.
Okay, thank you. All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I'll entertain a vote to approve the administration of medical marijuana policy, which was up for a second read today.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. All that say aye?
Aye.
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 Can we make sure that policy gets posted to the website ASAP? Thank you.
I'll consider a vote to approve the anti-hazing policy that was also up for a second read today.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Again, please.
I'll consider a vote to approve the AI3 Architects invoice for services. Paragon invoice for services, Gilbane invoice for services, construction invoices for East Providence High School, and the furniture and fixtures equipment invoices, which will be discussed by Mr. Enos.
Sure. So all these invoices were approved last night at the building committee meeting, as always. For construction invoices, AI3 extra services, $5,673.93. AI3 reimbursable services, $3,850. Gilbane Building Company, $458,133.05. and Peregrine Group LLC for $8,162.50 for a total of construction invoices for $475,819.48. Moving on to furniture, fixtures, and equipment. B&H Photo for $9,820.24. Miller Building Systems, $9,671. Robert H. Lord, $26,400. Roberts Musical Instruments, $1,944.50. Trimark, $3,139.04. And WB Mason, $19,010.96 for a total of furniture, fixtures, and equipment invoices of $69,985.74.
Thank you. I'll consider a vote to approve items 7 through 11, please.
I'll make a motion to approve items 7 through 11.
I'll second.
All that
Jen,
say aye?
Just a question, Jen.
Yep.
Can we do them separately? Because I'm not going to support a vote on number 10, please. So if we can do them individually?
Sure. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve items 7, 8, 9, and 11.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 10, the construction invoices for the East Providence High School.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any nays?
Due to the punch list, I'm going to vote nay. Thank you.
I'll consider a vote to approve the East Providence High School DECA field trip to Orlando, Florida.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All that say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a vote to approve the Martin Middle School's 8th grade field trip to Boston.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All that say aye?
Aye.
I'll consider a vote to approve the Rise School Construction MOA, which Mr. Enos will present on.
For those of you who were here on the school committee in 2018, Ms. Beauchene and Mr. Ferreira, this very similar document was before you for the construction of the high school. So the first document you have, the MOA for school construction, this is memorializing through RIDE what exactly they have approved for stage 2. So the Orlo Avenue Elementary School project for the value of $604,085. Waddington Elementary, $837,317, and $78,477,300 for Martin. So this is just formalizing and getting your formal approval that we are going to proceed forward on the projects as outlined. The other piece that you have for the next item is the statewide pay-as-you-go memorandum of agreement, which goes in concert with the first piece. If you remember, the pay-go money that we received here for the high school was a little bit over 16 million. The state is offering us for the Martin Middle School project a little bit over $11 million. So really, really good. So again, this is money that the city will have to outlay, and then the city will get reimbursed. Scratch that. the pay-go money, the city we will just pay the portion that we need to be paid for it. And then the third piece is the School Building Authority Capital Fund Memorandum of Agreement, and has to do with the facility equity initiatives. So here it says that the projected costs for the project are $3.8 million. So that's $3.8 million that we would have to outlay. The SBA Capital Fund commitment for that, our 48.5% reimbursement of that is the $1.8 million in change. And then if we get 15% MWBE participation, that $1.8 million then goes up to $2.2 million. Okay? Approve these, vote to approve, and sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll consider a vote to approve the RIDE school construction MOA.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All that say aye.
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 Aye. We'll consider a vote to approve the RIDE statewide bond pay-as-you-go MOA.
I'll second.
All that say aye.
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 I'll consider a vote to approve the RIDE School Building Authority Capital Fund MOA.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All that say aye.
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 Aye. I'll consider a vote to approve the Youth Risk Behavior Survey for East Providence High School and Martin Middle School.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All that say aye.
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 I just want to make a comment. I want to make sure that this does not take a lot of time out of school and that it's voluntary. Like, even if a child does not want to take this survey when it's given to them, they can just walk away. I don't want them to be told that they have to do this. Okay, then
I'll entertain a vote to approve the contract for systems administrator.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All that say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll consider a vote to approve the contract for principal at Riverside Middle School.
aye. Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded. All that say aye.
Aye.
Welcome. I'll consider a vote to approve the RFP for the Special Education Program Review.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I will second.
All that say aye.
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 I'll entertain a vote to approve the School Committee Subcommittee for Teacher Negotiations.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Who are we approving?
Yeah, it was. Oh.
Oh, just to make this up, Wendy?
Yeah. So, just an update then. Ms. Bouchane was on the teachers contracting, she was sitting on the negotiation team, the last contract negotiations for the teachers. And I also asked to be part of that negotiations as well for this time around. Our previous member, Mr. Joel Montero, used to be on it. So that there was a spot that opened up, and I spoke with Superintendent Dr. Frand about taking that position to partake in those negotiations with the teachers, which I think are most likely will begin next month, I believe. Okay, but there isn't a date or anything like that set. So that's approximately when we think we'll be starting. What has gone on the last time, we would kind of keep you guys updated on any like major developments that would happen in executive, but that the two members would kind of present the finalized contract at the end and in executive session to the rest of the school committee. So that's how usually the process goes for that. I'm not sure if, Ms. Boucher, if you want me to add anything?
No,
or Dr. Ferrand?
I am volunteering my time for a third time, so if someone else feels as though they would like to do it, I have no problem stepping away.
Comments or questions regarding that? All right. I'll consider a vote to approve the school committee subcommittee for teacher negotiations.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All righty, all that say aye?
Aye.
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 Next item is announcements.
Any announcements?
I have an announcement. I have been invited to and accepted to chair the Health and Wellness Committee. We had a introductory meeting last week. We are having a follow-up meeting on March 10th. I'm really excited about this opportunity to be working with a lot of the members in our school district, and I hope to be able to provide updates either monthly or bi-monthly to the school committee.
Great. Any other announcements? Alrighty, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
If you guys want to stay here longer. Is there a second?
I second.
Second. All right, all that say aye? Aye. All right, happy Valentine's Day.